Mahua Moitra has moved Supreme Court of India. Mahua Moitra challenges the suspension or expulsion from Lok Sabha in a plea filed before the Supreme Court. Mahua Moitra has challenged the expulsion as a TMC MP from Lok Sabha, and she has in fact moved the Supreme Court of India, trying to in fact get some sort of a legal recourse from the apex court. Mahua Moitra, remember, was in fact expelled from Lok Sabha after the cash for query scam in the investigations by the ethics panel of the Lok Sabha found her guilty, upholding her expulsion from Lok Sabha as a Trinamool Congress MP. She now has challenged this in the Supreme Court of India, trying to get legal recourse from the apex court. Expelled TMC leader Mahua Moitra, former member of parliament, has now challenged the expulsion from Lok Sabha at the Supreme Court, in the Supreme Court.
নমস্কার, আমি আপনাদের সাংসদ মহুয়া মৈত্র বলছি। আমি সমস্ত কৃষ্ণনগরবাসী, তৃণমূল কংগ্রেসের প্রত্যেকটি কর্মী, আমাদের ব্লক প্রেসিডেন্ট, অঞ্চল সভাপতি, যারা যারা বিগত দুদিনে আমার সাপোর্টে রাস্তায় নেমেছে, আমাকে মেসেজ পাঠিয়েছে, সরব হয়েছে, তাদের সবাইকে আমি অন্তর থেকে কৃতজ্ঞতা জানাতে চাই। আমি আপনাদেরই মেয়ে, আপনাদের মাটির মানুষ, আপনাদের সাথেই থাকবো আজকে কালকে যতদিন আপনারা রাখবেন। থ্যাংক ইউ ভেরি মাচ। এই লড়াইটা আমরা জিততে নেমেছি, ময়দান ছাড়বো না। আপনারা সাথে থাকলে সবকিছুতে সক্ষম হব। অনেক ধন্যবাদ। থ্যাংক ইউ।
Look at that message that Mahua Moitra has in fact put out. Nalini also continues to be with us. There is some sort of respite that she was expecting from the Supreme Court. How is this expected to play out in the Supreme Court of India, given that this call has been taken by the Parliament? What does the rule book really say, Nalini?
Well, Sneha, it's coming on expected lines because you're right, even though this was all according to parliamentary procedure, but at the same time, it has been challenged before the Supreme Court by Mahua Moitra, stating that the decision of the Ethics Panel Committee itself was not valid in law. Now, the basis of that, the grounds on which she has filed this petition, we're still getting to know, but at the same time, it is easy to assume that Mahua Moitra has, because she has been constantly claiming that she did not get a fair hearing before the ethics panel, before this decision was arrived at. So keeping in mind the principles of natural justice, the fact that irrespective of where the proceedings are going on, before the parliament or before a court of law, it is important that any person who the decision impacts has their right to have a say before this said panel. A right to fair hearing is something that everybody is entitled to, like I said, irrespective of whether the hearing is before the parliament or the ethics panel or the Supreme Court of India. So keeping that in mind, it's probably on that basis that Mahua Moitra has filed this plea now before the top court, challenging the decision of the ethics panel itself that had recommended that she be expelled and the subsequent expulsion that has happened. It remains to be seen, like you said, to what extent the court will agree to look into, because it is at the end of the day parliamentary procedure that is strictly kept apart from what the Supreme Court can do, keeping in terms the separation of powers doctrine of the Indian Constitution. But at the same time, it remains to be seen whether the court agrees to hear it, because in case Mahua is able to make out her case that she did not get a fair hearing and principles of natural justice were violated, it is possible that the Supreme Court might agree to judicially review the decision of the ethics panel itself.
That is something that has not been decided yet. Mahua Moitra has in fact approached the Supreme Court, but will the court hear this matter or not? There's a question mark on that, is what Nalini essentially is telling us. We'll continue to keep a very close eye on those developments. Remember, Mahua Moitra, member of parliament from the Trinamool Congress, was expelled by a parliamentary, in fact, by the parliament essentially after the parliamentary committee report essentially said that she's guilty and her involvement in the cash for query scam has essentially been proven.